Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Awesome. Let me share my screen and we're going to get started and all the good stuff. And happy Saturday. Is it raining down in Augusta this morning? Down in Aiken? Is it down there? Is it rain?
It is definitely an overcast. I think
Gotcha.
it's scheduled to rain today.
Wow,
It's raining
wow.
in Prosperity.
It's raining in
I'm
Prosperity.
in
All right.
Prosperity, South Carolina.
Gotcha. Got it. Got it. I was talking with Miss Gloria. I was sharing with them earlier. I was talking with them talked with Gloria a couple weeks ago. And I said, hey, Miss Gloria, she's like, would you, be part of it? I said, absolutely. I'm honored. And I said, are we going to be doing this in person? Because I remember the first time I did it, we were we're part of COVID. So everything was online. And she said, no, we're still going to be online. I said, okay, okay. Because I was excited to come join you. But then come to find out, tell you how God works. Sunday, my son came home and he said, Dad, AU's up and starting. And I'm like, yeah. So what's the schedule look like? He says, well, on March 25th, we're going to be in Augusta, Georgia. I said, oh, are we? I looked at the time and I said, all right, well, I'll be online talking with the folks down in Augusta, but then later this afternoon, we're going to take a trip and come down and play some basketball. So I won't be looking like this. I'll probably be yelling, looking crazy, but you guys get to see the good part of me. So good morning. Awesome, awesome. Well, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get started for sake of time. My name is Terrence Guest with Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. I am a senior financial analyst, or excuse me, I am a senior mortgage senior mortgage advisor. I used to have that title like many years ago, the other one I just mentioned, but I am a certified mortgage advisor where I help homeowners realize their dreams I help buyers help realize their dream to become a homeowner, right? So whether you're talking about a first-time home buyer, move-up buyer, whether you're talking about an investor, I help all residential transactions happen and take place. Now, if you're blessed enough to pay and buy a home cash, then guess what? You don't need me because you got cash. But if you're looking to finance a home and things of that sort, those are the things that we'll talk about and look at from there. But can everyone see my screen? I should be saying planning a healthy financial future. Awesome. I got thumbs up from Ms. Donna. So let's just jump right in. So here we go. So during today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about credit. We're going to talk about budget. We're going to talk about how home loans work and talk about the mortgage space and things of that sort. Jumping out, in regards to credit, right? You guys know that at the end of the day, in order to finance a home, whether it be your primary residence, whether it be an investment, whether you decide to say, you know what, I want to do this and I'm going to put it in my business name, you have to have credit. Credit is an essential piece to the American way with regards to financing. Credit makes everything much easier, right? When you have good credit. As you know, credit scores, they do range, ladies and gentlemen, from 300 to 850. I will tell you that if you're looking for a primary residence, you need to have a minimum credit score of at least 580. The higher, the better interest rates, better loan programs. If you're looking to be an investor, you need to have a minimum credit score of at least a 680. 680 as an investor, okay? Some of the pros and cons, and again, you guys see here, pros, of course, right? Allows you to buy items now. It allows you to create a good credit history. Credit cards are more convenient than cash, right? Everything's now Apple Pay. Who even takes cash, right? Some places still take cash, but I remember I went to a little coffee shop downtown and I only had cash. I didn't have my wallet with me. So I just had a couple of dollars just to grab a iced tea. And they told me they didn't even take cash. And so I was thirsty and I didn't have my phone in front of me, so I couldn't do Apple Pay. But as you guys are seeing, technology is taking over, and a lot of times, credit is queen, so to speak. Consolidating bills into one payment. Some of the cons of credit, right? Impulse purchases. Anybody an impulse buyer? Me? I'll tell you, I am sometimes, right? Got to protect myself. You go and see something, you're like, you know what, I want that. I've said at the Hornets game, they got a Hornets jacket. They're like, the jacket normally costs $125, but for you tonight, it'll be $85. Oh, that must be a deal. I got to get it. Think about it. Do I really need it, right?
Sweetie, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Oh, okay, Miss Marlenia, thank you. And so interest makes the price of items higher, right? May require additional fees, and then can cause long-term financial difficulties if you are unable to make payments. So those are some of the things just to remember about credit. You know, credit is a representation of your character. It's a representation of your capital, and then also your credit. It really is a representation of your capacity, your capacity to how much you can actually hold and harness with respect to that piece. And when you think about it, and we just talked about credit, right? Character, capital, and capacity. I won't read directly to you, but your credit is credit kind of goes before you, right? Before anyone can even speak to you, before anyone sees how beautiful or how handsome you are or how intelligent they hear from you, they see what your credit is. And so your credit kind of goes before you before you even get to step in the room. So we want to ensure that our credit represents us the best way possible to ensure that we can get what we want to get to and do the things that we want to do from that standpoint. Again, I spoke to you guys and I told you credit scores range anywhere from 300 to 850. You can kind of see on that scale on what all that looks like, right? And so I would, definitely tell you that we should all be shooting for that 700 plus credit score. How do you achieve 700 plus credit score? You achieve it by many factors, such as keeping your balances, credit card balances low. Think about a credit card balance. I'm gonna use easy math here this morning for you, but think about it. If you have $1,000 limit credit card, and you use that credit card every month, which you should, right? You pay your bill on time as you should. I'll say max that credit card monthly out. Max it out. That sounds good. But the thing that you want to ensure that you can do is you can pay that balance off at the end of the month. So, places like American Express, it's like a charge account. They charge you crazy interest if you can't pay that bill off by the end of 30 days, right? So think about it from this standpoint. If I have $1,000 limit, I want to keep my balance anywhere in that 20% utilization standpoint. Because if I keep it at 20% utilization or below, then that's going to keep my credit scores at a high standard. Anytime that my credit scores or credit score balances, my credit balances are 50% of its utilization and or higher, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We'll actually lose points. So we're losing points. So don't get sucked in or try not to get sucked in when, hey, I got this limit of $1,000, my balance is 900, but my minimum payment is only $40. Well, where's that $40 a month going to? It's going to interest. 99.9% of it is going to interest. You'll continue to pay that off forever. But when you can, you want to knock that principal balance down. So you want to pay over and above so that your principal balance will be reflected and so that your utilization is going down. And again, the number that you want to try to achieve is to be at that 20% utilization. Again, we talk about credit scores and you kind of see the breakout here, right? The mix of credit, the types of credit. So they say that 10% of your credit, when you look at your credit report, 10% should be a mix of student loans, credit cards, auto loans. It should be a mixture of your mortgage payments, more positive a picture than just having credit cards alone. 10% number of credit inquiries should be 10% of your credit. This is what makes up your score. That's 10% of it. 15% is the length of credit history, right? So I know that sometimes we get these credit cards that we may have gotten in college, or we were blessed enough that our parents put ourselves on their credit card as an authorized user when we were in high school, right? That they were helping us build credit history. And it's important that we keep those credit history and we keep those credit cards because the longer your history, the longer or the bigger, the higher your scores will be because it shows the history of what you actually have. And then we just talked about outstanding balances, and I gave you that key. I know some will say 30% utilization, but 30% is average. I like how Mr. Eugene opened up and he said, "Good morning, millionaires." That just it made me smile, made me excited because he said millionaires. He looked at me and he spoke it to me, right? Like he spoke it to you as far as being a millionaire. But you'll see here 30% of your outstanding balances, right, actually counts towards your score. So when again, you want to keep them at 20% utilization of whatever that limit is, right? To give you, something for free here. If you just paid off your car note, right? And you said, man, I paid my car note off. I know my credit score should be shooting up. Actually, your credit score initially takes a strong dip. And why does it take a dip? Because the algorithms from the credit bureaus, they don't know what happened. They don't know what happened. It was a car note here. All of a sudden, you were paying, $500 for your car note for the last 6 years, and just one day when they woke up, it was gone. So what that's going to do, that's going to actually drop your score. But it only drops your score for about, let's say for about up to 90 days. And then your scores recalculate, the algorithms get into their jugular, and they reinvent a whole new score, which will end up being more than where it was before. But just so that you know, yes, your scores will go down. Did you know that if you miss a mortgage payment, or if you miss an installment debt payment, if you miss a credit card payment, and you just miss it and you're more than 30 days late, did you know that you lose anywhere between 45 to 50 points per instance? Per instance. So that's the importance of ensuring that, we don't miss payments and that we keep things kind of going. And that's when I talk about that 35%, that payment history. You're losing 50 points. Like, so if, I got a 700 credit score, and it was just an oversight that I missed my Capital One Bank credit card payment. That's why sometimes it's important just to kind of put these things on auto pay. But I missed it. And guess what? Now my score is down to a 650. Went from 700 to 650. That can be the difference of an interest rate of a 0.5%. Right. So credit, again, being very top of mind and top of important. But here's some credit and management tips that I want to share with you guys. Borrow only what you can repay. Borrow only what you can repay. Think about that, right? If I'm borrowing $300,000 on a house, well, I want to make sure that I can afford a $300,000 payment, right? And so that you want to be ensuring that you can repay those things. Make payments promptly. How many people wait till the due date to make the payment? Me, I do, right? How many times do you actually, when you're doing your budget, you say, you know what, I'm just going to pay it in advance, so I'm going to pay it a day early, or I'm going to ensure that it's set up on auto pay or auto draft to come out. That's some key points of it. Number 3, super important, especially in this world today, report lost or stolen credit cards immediately. Don't waste. Don't take time and say, oh, I'll get around to it. Oh, maybe it's under my bed or something like that. If you can't find it, immediately go online, lock it. Go online and say, look, I can't find my card. Put a freeze on it, because that's super important as with regards to keeping fraudulent charges off of you. The next one, never give your credit card number over the phone unless you are sure of the caller's identity. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're working with me, my team will reach out and say, hey, we're getting ready to get an appraisal done, and we want to ensure that the appraisal payment is made. Guess what? They will never ask you to pay that over the phone. They're going to say, we're going to send you an electronic link, or we're going to send you a secure link, and you're going to click in that link. You're going to enter your username and password, or whatever the case may be, so that you can securely make payments. Never give that information online or over the phone, because you never know who's on the other side of that phone. More importantly, you never know who's intercepting the call while we're on the phone talking together, right? The next one, don't bounce checks or overdraw your funds. Did you know banks ask for your bank statements because they want to review your bank statements? But when they're reviewing your bank statements, if they see non-sufficient funds or insufficient funds, they count that against you. They count that almost just as if they would count it as a late on your credit. So when they're looking at insufficient funds, and again, I know it's not happening to this group, but I want you guys to pass this information off to the next, because we want the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. We want us all to be informed, just like, Mr. Eugene again talked about the 40 acres and a mule, right? First thing, the best piece of it, you got to know. If you don't know, then you can't act. So again, no bounce checks, no overdraft. And again, let me tell you, I was the prince of overdrafting at the time. I thought that's what it was for. I was like, well, I ain't got it, so let me just go ahead and get it, and when I get paid, they'll put it back. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Very immature of me. Begin now to establish a steady work record. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and again, I know we have seasoned folks here, but we want to let folks know that, yes, it's good to be ambitious. It's good to, want to move up in companies and things of that sort. And that's awesome. But when you job hop, that can be a deterrent sometimes as you're trying to secure interest into purchasing a home or purchasing property from job hopping standpoints, right? It's not saying that, I was working at Enterprise car rental, and then I went from Enterprise to Hertz car rental. Well, that's within the same industry, it's within the same things, right? But if I went from Hertz as a car rental, and then now I'm working at American Airlines as a pilot. Well, let's talk about that, right? Were you in pilot school and that's what happened? That's what you did? Or what's going on now? So just wanting to be able to just make it make sense. And then last but not least, start a savings account and let the money grow. How about finding a bank, not the bank that just crashed. We don't want to find that bank, but finding a bank where you can, deposit money directly out of straight from your check. And it's kind of like it goes in and you forget it, right? It's automatically deposited, similar to how we pay our tithes, right? Just automatically send it. It's automatically sent and it's done out of obedience, but it's a way of ensuring that I have something secured and I'm ready to go for the future. Jumping right here, looking at budgeting, right? That's everybody's favorite word, how to budget. I got 6 steps here that we're going to go through, but budgeting is setting a realistic financial plan for your goals based on money you make now and in the future. And here's some steps here to talk about how to create a budget. I like the beginning of the year because we always talk about, well, I talk about in my household, what are we going to save this year, right? And my daughter Ryan, she's 8. She said, well, Daddy, I'm going to save $1. I said, what? Okay, cool. Is it going to be $1 for the year, $1 a day, $1 a month? What are we going to do? She said, well, I'm going to save every time I get my allowance, I'm going to save $1. So she gets $7 a week for her allowance, right? She just turned 8 in November, but we still own $7. Until she mentions it, that she should have got a raise. I'm going to keep my dollar, and she's going to understand that that's what happens in the American way. Unless you open your mouth, you won't get fed, right? But anyway, she's getting $7 a week, and so she says she's going to save it $7. She's going to save $1 a day. And it's interesting. I asked her a couple weeks ago. I said, "Hey, have you been saving your dollar?" She said, "Yeah, I got my dollar." And she came up and she had some dollars, so it was good. But I'm glad that we're having just a fun way of having, like, just again, having inclusivity just with the little ones, right? But creating a budget that's realistic. I know sometimes we get ambitious and say, you know what, I'm going to save half my paycheck, or I'm going to save this, that, and the third. Well, how strong and ambitious is that? Right? I'm not going to go on a trip all year, or I'm not going to buy any shoes, or I'm not going to, go on any vacations. Is that realistic? More important, is that even healthy? So step one, right? Assess your personal and financial situation. What are your needs? What are your values? What's your life situation? Right? My budget is not going to be as great as Miss Donna's budget. Miss Donna got a big budget, y'all. So it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same, right, Kay? I see you out there, Kay. Even though you don't got your camera on, but Kay, I see you. So step two, set a personal and financial goal, right? The key word was not the goal, but personal. This is your personal piece. This is something that you have a conversation with yourself, hopefully with your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? But you have that personal conversation directly, so that what makes the most sense. Number 3, create a monthly budget for fixed and variable expenses based on your projected income, right? I would say, I'll tell you how the lenders look at it. We look at your income from a growth standpoint. But ladies and gentlemen, you bring home net. If you're retired, you know what your retirement pension and Social Security looks like on a monthly basis, right? You saying, well, Terrence, how am I supposed to save and I'm on a fixed income? Well, you still can do it. It all depends on what those variable and fixed income or expenses are monthly, right? So you think about from a fixed income, or fixed, not a fixed income, but a fixed expense. You think about if you got a mortgage, or you got a rent payment, you got a car note, you got car insurance, right? You have utilities, you got groceries. Those are things that you have. Those are fixed. That's happening. You got a shelter, you need food, you need clothes on your back, right? And then you think about, well, I got to keep the lights on. We're all on the internet today, so everybody has internet. Nobody's not on internet. Or you got your phone, so you're paying a cell phone bill, right? Write down all your expenses, all those expenses. And then you think about, okay, what income am I actually bringing in? Now, hopefully the income you're bringing in is more than the expenses you have going out. But let's just be honest. Sometimes we might be hitting the ceiling with it, and that's okay. But then we start looking at it, well, what can we actually dive out? I'm gonna be real personal with you. I'm gonna tell you, before we got on this morning, I was talking to my wife because she said, hey, back in January, we're going to stop. What did she say? She said we're going to go to the internet, this internet bill. She said it's insane. Internet bill is insane. And she says we're paying $350 a month, which includes the cable internet is like $350 a month. You guys do the math. That's almost $40,000 a year for some internet and cable. We better cut something, right? Think about that. We got to cut something. Got to. Well, I'm sorry, I said 40,000. No, more like 4,000. But you get what I'm saying. We got to cut it. Cut back. I don't like that. Step 4, monitor your current spending, saving, and investment habits. How much do you guys spend? When you get paid, do you pay yourself first? Or do you go eat out every night? Do you go get online and go shopping? What's our spending habit looks like? I think that you should pay yourself first. Some would say when you load your budget, first person you pay is yourself. Reward yourself. Got to pay yourself. 15%. That's my goal. My goal is 15%. 15% of my come home is what I made. I made 15%. So again, let's use that $1,000 number. If I made $1,000, guess what? $150 is mine. So now we're working off of $850. All right. Don't forget I got a tithe. Am I tithing off the 1,000 or am I tithing off the 850 was left? That's a personal that's a personal goal between you and him, right? But you got to figure that part out. And then you go about paying your bills and things of that sort from there. What am I investing in, right? Who invested in crypto? Who cashed out in crypto? Who lost in crypto? Whose hand is still raised up? Y'all see? I experienced all three. All three. Didn't feel good, but it was what was hot, right? Jumping in at the wrong time. What was the habits? Did I do my due diligence? Did I research? Or did I just look and see what everybody else was doing? You got to think about that part, right? Do you have a retirement account at work? Do you max it out? Does your company contribute to it? Do you have pensions, right? I know that's not, I know some companies still don't do it, but do you have that? What's your retirement look like? One day we're all going to be at retirement age. Are we going to have enough money in our retirement to take care of us for our next part of our life? What does that look like? Step 5, right? Compare your budget to what you have actually spent. Think about that. I think Susie Orman, she has a great envelope system. If it works for you, it works. But she has a great envelope system. I should read about it. She says, get envelopes and tag them, write them all out. So basically, once your check deposits into your account, take the cash out, put it into the envelopes. Put it into the envelopes because she says when you have the cash in your hand, you actually see, because you see the monetary part of it and you see what you're actually spending. You're spending out, right? So you actually see and you can feel it. So when you don't have it in your hand no more, you say, oh, I don't have it. I don't have anything anymore, right? Versus when you are constantly swiping. Swipe the card or transfer, Cash App, and Venmo, and Zelle, and Apple Pay, right? They're demonetizing the value of the dollar because they're making us just swipe and do all these transfers, which, when you transfer, you don't have anymore, but it's a difference. It's a different feeling. How many people have visited a casino, right? I have. When you get to the casino, what's the first thing they do? You put your cash in and they do what? They give you chips, right? They're demonetizing the value because they say if you just throw a chip at somebody, a $500 chip is just one chip. That chip has a different color than the $25 chip, but it weighs the same. But if you got $500 bills in your hand versus $25 bills in your hand, you feel the difference. You kind of get what I'm saying? Step 6, review financial progress and adjust budget amounts. We have to, again, daily, and maybe daily is too excessive, but I would say when you set a budget, you should be at least reviewing it every 45, 60 days. Make sure it's still working for you. Maybe it's different, right? So again, be realistic in your budget setting. A student working part-time likely can't afford a new car right away, right? Let's be realistic. Be specific. I want to save $5,000 for college tuition. That's a specific goal. Let's have a time frame. I want to pay off my credit card within the next 18 months. Be specific and direct and have a time frame, because when you put something on it, then it becomes more tangible. Last one, state the action to be taken. I want to start an automatic deposit savings account with monthly withdrawals from my checking account. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you one free, right? True Liant right now is offering 5%. They're offering 5% on a 17, 18-month CD. That's a deposit, right? CD, but they're willing to pay you right now 5%, and there's no minimum amount they'll do it. True Liant Federal Credit Union. Look at the credit unions that are in your area. We're losing. The market's not that great right now. So some of the banks are looking at those deposits and being able to reward you. 5% money is better than no money, no interest right now. So look at that for yourselves. So next slide, how home loans work. A home loan, also called a mortgage, is the sum of money you borrow from a bank or mortgage lender to buy a home. You either live in the home, you either rent the home out, you either Airbnb it out, you do all those things, but you have a monthly mortgage payment. On average, most mortgages, depending on your amortization, depending on what you want, you can have a 10-year mortgage, you can have a 5-year mortgage. That payment's going to be pretty high depending on the balance, but more than likely your amortization is going to start at 30 years, 20 years, or even 25. The amortizations can change. But the biggest piece is acquiring the value or acquiring the asset and being able to accrue equity in homes. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know when we last met 2 years ago when I was blessed to be here, we were going through something like what's called COVID-19, right? And who knew during COVID-19 that our financial market would explode the way it did? And when I say explode, it didn't go away. It kind of tripled. It kind of, take it to the 10th power. If a home was able to sell in 2020 for 200,000, that same home today is probably worth 450,000. Straight up. If you were able to buy during that time, what a time was it to have home values kind of quadruple right there in front of us. Here are the loan components, right? You have principal, you have interest, you have taxes, property taxes, you have homeowners insurance, and you have mortgage insurance. But let's talk about it. The principal is the amount you borrow. So that's the principal amount from a mortgage. The interest is what you pay back, right? What's my interest rate? 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%. Those are some of the rates that are happening even today. What are the taxes? Property taxes, right? Property taxes, whether it's included in your mortgage payment, or if you're blessed enough to put 20% down, you're going to pay those property taxes. Because if you're not paying property taxes, what are they going to do? They're going to foreclose on your house and take it back from you. And then you have insurance. You have both homeowners insurance that takes care of your belongings in the home, takes care of any issues you may have with the home, structural or roof or anything like that. Then you have mortgage insurance, right? Mortgage insurance is if you're not putting down 20%. There's a calculated amount of insurance that you're going to pay monthly, and that is going to do what? It's going to protect the lender. It's going to protect the bank in the event of foreclosure or something of that sort. So those are the loan components. Here are the basic types of mortgages, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna give you all 5 of them because, again, I keep saying Eugene's name. Probably because my middle name is Ellsworth, right? Nobody says Ellsworth, and I don't find a lot of Eugenes out there. So shouts out to anybody whose name starts with E. But when you say basic mortgages, you got 5 of them, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off with the conventional mortgage. Conventional is the way of doing things. It's the A paper of buying a home. If you're doing a conventional loan, you have good credit. Very good credit. With a conventional home, if you're a first-time home buyer, the minimum down payment is 3% on a primary residence. If you are purchasing a second home, the minimum down payment on a conventional loan, because you're buying a conventional loan, is 10%. And if you're doing an investment property, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You are also using a conventional loan, and the minimum down on a conventional loan is 15%. But I advise at least 20% because we want to get rid of mortgage insurance and things of that sort. That's what conventional looks like. But it serves primary home, secondary home, investment homes. FHA is a very good loan. It is, I would say, the redhead stepsister to conventional, but it's not just for first-time home buyers. That's a myth that we want to dispel. Minimum down payment for FHA is 3.5%. However, FHA is only for primary residents only. Primary residents only. When you think about veterans, shouts out to any veteran that is on the call today. Thank you for your service. We appreciate all you've done for us by keeping us safe at night. The veterans get a benefit of 100% financing for a veteran. Minimum credit score for a veteran, 580. Minimum credit score for FHA, 580. Minimum credit score for conventional, 620, but put an asterisk next to it. Why do I say put an asterisk next to it? Because on a conventional loan, you need not just a minimum score of a 620, but you need some assets, money in the bank. You need some strong income. Like I'm working and I get some bonuses and I do this, that, and third. You also need, let's just say some collateral behind you. You need to have your business working for yourselves before you go conventional.
Hey, Terrence,
Yes, ma'am.
are you monitoring the chat box?
I'm not. And is it rock and rolling?
I
I'm sorry.
am.
You are? Somebody is,
Yeah,
thank you.
Laurie. Uh-huh.
Okay,
Okay. I sent a direct question to Terrence, so I'll make it to everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
thank you, and thank you for monitoring, Ms. Pat. Let me get back here, I'm sorry. Where were we at? You guys can still see the screen? Yes, okay.
Not your presentation.
Not my presentation, okay. I'm sorry, got back, hold on.
You have to click on the little Zoom icon to get back to the presentation.
Okay. The little zoom icon, this one right here.
At the bottom,
At the bottom, far
Mm.
right.
The blue one
The blue one, yeah, I
Should be at
clicked
the
on
end.
it.
Should be at the end.
on your end.
I don't see
Uh-huh.
a cursor. Where's your cursor?
Hold on.
Keep on down
Uh-huh.
Keep
in the
going
other
across.
direction.
Keep going across to the right. It's beside the PowerPoint one. That
Yep,
blue,
it's the blue one.
yeah.
Right, okay. Let me get it right here, expand it. Okay. All right, here we go. You guys don't see anything. Let me bring that PowerPoint back.
Yeah, you need to go back to share screen.
Okay. Share screen. And then does anyone share a screen? I don't see
If
my
not, I can share mine. I have your PowerPoint.
if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you. If you'll jump down to I think one more up. This one right here, number 11.
11.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys. And I apologize. See, Donna still gets me all flustered. She used to be my boss, though, guys. So I get scared when Miss Donna calls. All
Right.
right. So all good. Hey, so jump back to VA. Thank you for your service for everyone who's been servicing us and things of that sort. But you do get 100% financing. The one thing key about a VA loan, there is no mortgage insurance. So there's no mortgage insurance, whether you're putting down any 20% or anything like that, because they give you 100% financing. The key about VA is that it is for the veteran and or for the veteran's spouse. At the same time, though, I must say is that it has to be for primary residence only. So a VA loan cannot be used for investment property or second home. It's for primary residence. Okay. The next one that you hear about, and that's number 4, will be USDA. That is a USDA home or USDA home loan. Some of us live in USDA or rural areas. Different parts of the areas of Charlotte that I live in are sometimes rural. Some parts in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, wherever you guys may be considered rural. Back in the day, it was only for farmers. It was a farmer's loan. But then the farmers said, well, not the farmers, but we said, well, if the farmers can get it, why we can't get it, right? And so that, yes, you can get 100% financing if you're willing to live in a rural area. Again, that is a primary residence home loan. And then just because we're all millionaires or we're all heading to that way, the next loan that I work in is called a jumbo loan. Jumbo loan. Jumbo loan can be for either, it works kind of like conventional, but it could be either for a primary residence, a second home, and or investment property. But a jumbo loan, ladies and gentlemen, is for any loan amount greater than $712,000. With all of those loan programs, the 5 that I just mentioned, you can have second homes for conventional and for jumbo, right? You can also have investment properties for those. All the other ones would be primary residence only. I know that we're in a different financial climax right now today. So you have fixed home loans versus adjustable rates. When I sit down with you, we're going to talk about what makes the most sense for you. How long do you plan on staying in a home? May be a reason why we look at an adjustable rate mortgage. Payment flexibility definitely is key there. but all these home loans can be refinanced with no prepayment penalty. That's key. That's key. Miss Pat, we can go to the next slide. Applying for a home loan. I'll get you guys all that information. How do you apply? You apply via with me. Either we do it over the phone together or we'll do it via the website. Basically, when you're doing a loan application, think about it this way. You are uncovering your income, your assets, and your credit. The cool thing about Terrence Guest with Atlantic Bay, what we will do, because I think it's very good that we do this, is that we are going to do this on a soft credit pool. So we're going to, when you're working with a lender, ladies and gentlemen, a lender should be able to give you a full, well, I won't say full, let's say a pre-approval or conditional approval with the ability of a soft credit pool. Why do I say that? Is because it could be just an exploratory conversation. It could be just, you know what, this market that we're in, home values are all over the place, home prices are all over the place. There's not a whole lot of inventory. I want to dip my toe in the water to see how it works. So why wouldn't you be able to do a soft credit pool so I can kind of just get out there and see which way I'm going? Now, once you get under contract, we got to do that full pool, right? We got to do that hard inquiry pool. And also, let's dispel a myth. From a hard pool, that hard pool is only you're only somewhere between 2 to 3 points. Only so you're not losing 30 points, 50 points. That's false, ladies and gentlemen. I know sometimes people say, well, I looked at Credit Karma, I looked at my FICO, I looked at this. And yes, what I would say to that, here's my answer. Those are all credit monitoring platforms with regards to your credit score. Those are not your exact scores, point blank, period. You'll definitely want to speak with a professional. You'll want to speak with a lender because you're asking a lender to borrow money. So we're going to look at it and have all the constraints of how you're paying your bills, where you work, how much money you got saved. All that is captioned in what, as we talked about, your credit scores. But based off of your income, based off your assets, based off the current rates, that's how you qualify. And I like to qualify based off of, let's talk about what you want to pay. That's the most important. Next slide, Ms. Pat. Debt to income ratios. Wow, debt to income ratio. What is debt to income? Debt to income is using your debt as the numerator and your income, gross income, as your denominator. And when you do that, you divide your debt by your income. That's how you come up with your debt to income ratio. Now, the cool thing, like I told you, when you created your budget, you were creating your budget based off of what? Based off your net income, the income that you bring home. However, when you go sit with a lender, sit with the bank, they're looking at your gross income. So if you're W-2, it's easy, right? I made $100,000 this year. My gross. When I looked at my taxes, I only brought home $62,000. Yeah, you see that, right? Do you really make six figures? It's an answer, right? You got to look at that stuff. But then when you look at it from a standpoint of I'm self-employed, how many people self-employed? How much income did I make this year, right? How much income did I make? I made $100,000. That was my gross. That's great. But then I go look at my advertising. I look at my cost of business. I look at my employees. I look at my depreciation. I look at all of my expenses. When I do all that on this lovely sheet called to the IRS, what's my net income? I made 100,000. My expenses were 110,000. So my net income was a negative $10,000. Ladies and gentlemen, when you show your net income, that last line, whatever that last line is, when you're self-employed, that's the income the lender is going to use. That's very important. A lot of times we're self-employed. So one of the benefits of self-employed is what? You get to be the captain and director of how much income you show the IRS. Because why? You want to make sure that whatever you're paying IRS back or not paying back, that's what it is. It's a double-edged sword, though, when it comes to buying or purchasing a home or purchasing property, right? Because they're looking at what? They're looking at your growth. They're looking at that net income number. So be careful of that. Be cognizant of, hey, we're deciding that we want to buy a home and we're going to pull the trigger in 2025. Great. 2025, you want to go pull that trigger? Great. It's 2023 today. So how about I show my income for 2023? I show aggressive income. I show aggressive income for 2024. So as soon as 2025 roll off, when they say, hey, I need your last 2 years tax returns, you have them to supply and you're able to go and get a conforming loan. But let's talk about non-conforming, because there's other programs out there like bank statement programs, right? Where folks say, hey, I want to use my bank statements because I'm self-employed. I got income. I make money. I got a landscaping business, or I got a hair business, or I babysit kids, or whatever the case may be, right? And I have these bank statements. I'm making money. And yes, you can do a loan with those bank statements. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, that bank statement is called a non-conforming loan. Nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. It's okay. Non-conforming loan. But with a non-conforming loan, your minimum down payment is going to be 10%. With a non-conforming loan, that interest rate today, you're going to be somewhere around 9%. 9% on an adjustable rate mortgage. So those are things to think about just when you're entering into how am I going to show my debt, or how am I going to show my income? And the debt that we're talking about, I'm talking about the debt that's on your credit report. When we're looking at Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, those are the 3 major credit score bureaus. Next slide, Ms. Pat. How much can a borrower afford? These are just, again, as Ms. Gloria said this morning, it's just an advice. It's not the norm, or it's not saying that this is what you need to follow, but I want you guys to kind of, put it into have some type of budget rule, or have some breakdown towards it. So in your budget, you should use the 50-20-30 rule. 50% toward recurring payments, which include a borrower's mortgage payment. So think about your mortgage payment. Think about, I like how it says basic groceries. I guess sour cream is in basic groceries, whatever basic groceries are. Think about your car payments, or even student loans. Student loans, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, I got my message the other day that my student loan servicer has transferred, and my student loan payment starts back on June 1st. At the same time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wish I would have done it as aggressive as I should, but we've had 2 years off of paying student loans. How many people actually made a payment to their student loans while we had this 2 years off? I kind of did, but I didn't really. Did you know that they weren't charging any interest, and I could have probably knocked a lot of that off here? Hopefully you got your student loans forgiven. My wife did get her student loans forgiven, but she works in healthcare, so she was able to make that happen. So blessings to her. That was amazing. Gym memberships. How many people going to the gym? How many people signed up for the gym? You signed up on January 1st. Are you still going? I'm not. I got a gym right there. I'm right outside of it, guys. I walk past it every day. I need to get back to the gym, but I don't pay no membership. Other loans and subscriptions and things of that sort. That should be 50% of your recurring payments. 30% towards flexible spending. What's flexible spending? That internet bill that I just talked to you about a little while ago, that's flexible. We can change that around, right? Eating out, that's flexible. We don't have to do that much. Vacations, those are flexible, correct? Shopping, getting hats, socks, shoes, whatever, that's flexible spending. 30%, that should be in your budget. And then 20%, I told you my goal was 15%, but this is aggressive right here. It says 20% of your budget should be going to savings. But when I think about that, think about it this way also. Think about your 401k. Think about your own little savings account that you had doing yourself. You doing your own, right? Those are all things that can also be a part of your financial goal, or your financial spending from that standpoint. So think about the 50-20-30 rule. And I'll definitely make sure that these presentations get sent to Ms. Gloria so she can share to all. Ms. Pat, if you don't mind, next slide. Find the right home, close the loan. How many people actually look on social media and they see that they have friends in the whole real estate market and they're closing loans every day, or they get somebody on a contract every day, and things of that sort? It's hilarious to me. I love looking at the highlight reels of social media because that's all we ever show, right? It's important though, when you do get on the contract, or that you find the right home. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing I'll say is that you find something that makes sense for you, that you find something that it works for you, and that you're getting things going, and things of that sort. It has to make sense for you, for you, for you. Do not just feel the pressure of, well, the Smiths bought a house, I gotta buy a house, or the Wesbys, they just bought another investment property, I gotta buy an investment property. All this has to make sense for you, because you have to afford it. One thing won't happen is that the mortgage company will never make a mortgage payment for you. Your realtor will never make a mortgage payment for you. So it would be solely down to you. So you want to make sure that you understand the down payment, you understand the closing costs, you understand who's going to pay what, you understand what your earnest money and or due diligence is with regards to taking a house off the market. This will solely be your responsibility, but you want to make sure that it all works for you. So that's super important and super aggressive when it comes down to it. And we can talk granular later on a personal level, but again, find the right home, close the loan. Find the right home, close the loan, but feel pressure free. It should be, if the assets there, great. Mortgage interest rates, they are what they are. And we'll talk a little bit about that during our Q&A, because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of questions there, and we want to get to that next. Miss Pat, please, next slide. Final thoughts. Guys, maintain good credit, right? Make car payment, mortgage payments, make your payments on time. Missing those payments will be a detriment to your credit. It assassinates your credit. I'll tell you, I have a guy, a friend of mine. He's in Charlotte with me. He runs his own. Get this, right? He runs his own property management company. So he has a ton of properties, and people use them as a landlord and stuff like that to make payments. And he's buying a second house, a condo in Florida. And I'm like, all right, cool, it's all good. And right here in the midst of him buying it, hopefully, perfectly, we close next week, perfectly. But guess what? His credit score dropped. His credit score dropped because he missed a credit card payment. It's a credit card payment that he doesn't even make, but he just, when I say he doesn't make, he doesn't have a balance on it. But you know how some credit cards charge you a minimum payment to keep the credit card open and things of that sort? And he forgot. So we're talking about like a $20, $25 minimum payment that he forgot, and his credit scores dropped 50 points, something like that. Gratefully enough, we're able to still get the loan done, but his interest rate, and he's furious, right? He's mad at me because I did it, right? I'm the one that didn't make his payment. But his credit, his payment, like his interest rate is literally like a 1.5 difference. A 1.5 difference. He's going to be closing at like 8.125%. He could have easily been at like 6.9, 6.875 based off of where we were before. But when you miss payments, guess what? When you're in the mortgage process, buying a house, guess who gets a ding that you missed your mortgage payment? Guess who gets a ding when you go apply for a new credit card? Guess who gets a ding when you go do something that when we say don't do nothing? We see it all. But when it happens, you get taxed on it. So you got to make payments on time. I'm gonna say right here, I'm big on this one. I'm blessed to have 3 kids, Miss Donna. You've met them, Terrence and Brian and Christian. But don't co-sign no loans for nobody. Don't do it. I love my kids, love them, right? God bless me with 3 beautiful babies. I love them, love them. But why would I co-sign if I can't afford to make the payment for them? I wouldn't co-sign, ladies and gentlemen. If you got a co-sign relationship going on right now, if you're not monitoring that very, very closely, you should. And you should be telling that person, hey, as soon as we can, you about to refinance and get this out of my name, because that's too much pressure. Too much pressure. Don't co-sign, ladies and gentlemen. It's nothing good of it can come from it by you co-signing. Yes, that person may get into their apartment, or they may get to do certain things, but it won't happen. Another quick story. Just lady just yesterday, she's wanting to buy a house, and she says, well, Terrence, I got this apartment complex on my credit, and she said, but it wasn't my house. It was I co-signed for my brother. So I co-signed for my brother for the first year. For the first year, I co-signed for my brother. And shit, it was horrible. I sometimes had to pay the payment for him, but we made the payment. Well, guess what? The year was up, and she said, okay, I'm done. Well, she thought she was done. But the fine print, that part we never read, it says that if you don't cancel your lease does what? It automatically renews. And guess what? Her brother, he said, I ain't moving, so I'm going to automatically renew. And what he didn't do was take his sister off. And he kept her on. And guess what he did? He wasn't making his payments. So now he's in collections with the apartment people. And the sister is having to wear that. It don't feel good. So try to do that. Try to maintain job consistency. Don't job hop. That's important. Again, we could talk through it. I know people who have different jobs. I get it. Let me just say that it's a case-by-case basis. Discipline. We got to discipline ourselves. Choosing what you want the most over what you want. Choosing what you want the most over what you want is key. Fashions and fads, they come and go, but good financial choices last a lifetime. Miss Pat, I appreciate you stepping in and helping me out. Let's jump over to the chat because I want to answer questions, and I got a bunch of questions that were emailed to me as well. So we're going to jump up here. Miss Donna, what's the best way to get your current credit score that won't ding you for checking? That's a great question, Miss Donna. I will say the best place to get your credit score or to get an idea of what your credit score is contacting freecreditreport.com, www.freecreditreport.com. You'll fill through the prompts and they will give you all 3 credit bureaus. You would like the bureaus for TransUnion, for Experian, and for Equifax. You want all 3 from there. Jumping here, got that. This is number 98. Okay, not me. Hang on. All right, cool. All right, so let's yeah. I stay thankful to God all the time. Let me jump in here. So I want to. There were some questions that were given to me that I were privy to earlier, and I want to jump in. One of the questions was how to make passive income off property. The best way to make passive income, and I guess this is speaking more from an investment property standpoint, how to make passive income off property is to be in a good investment property situation where either if you still have a current mortgage payment, that you actively are charging the appropriate rent amount for that property, and that you pass the things off to your tenants for the upkeep of the home, right? One thing that I do, I have a few rental properties. I take care of the maintenance inside the home. So I ensure that air filters are replaced on a monthly basis. I may not physically go and change the air filter myself, but I will drop off the air filters. I'll drop off 6 months supply at a time, and I'll shoot a little text reminder saying, "Hey, don't forget to change your air filter," things of that sort. From a grass or maintenance standpoint, I always tell folks that the grass is their responsibility. And if the grass is too high, I get dinged by the HOA. Guess who's going to get dinged? They're going to get dinged. So that is set up in the lease at the very piece of it at the beginning. But to answer that question from a passive income, I just ensure that my expenses, right? We talked about expenses and the income that I have coming in. I just make sure that it's over and above where it needs to be. So to give you an example, one of my rental properties, my mortgage payment, after I refinanced it, my mortgage payment dropped down to $990 a month, right? What I pay monthly is that I pay $1,500 a month to the mortgage company. Why do I pay $1,500 a month to the mortgage company? Because I have $1,800 coming in on both from both. It's a duplex, so I have $900 per side coming in. So that's $1,800. So I could say, you got a $900 mortgage payment, Terrence. You got $1,800 coming in. Well, man, you pocketed $900. Yeah, that'd be cool. But what's more important to me? It's more important that I pay off that expense. I pay off that mortgage. So I'm actually paying my mortgage payment, and then I'm paying an additional $600 a month that's going to the principal balance of that mortgage, right? That's going to help me pay that mortgage off a whole lot sooner. And then I have an additional, and I don't even say passive income, but I have just an additional, couple $100 just in case something happens. When something happens, something's bound to happen. But when something happens, knock on wood, I have that ability to take care of it in an applicable manner. The next question was how to stay abreast of financial updates. This subject due to many concerns within the financial landscape. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how do I stay how do I stay updated? I read a lot. I'm on CNN Money page every day. But the other piece, kind of local stuff, is that I look at there's something that's called Mortgage News Daily. So I'm in the mortgage industry, and I want to know exactly what's going on. I subscribe to a lot of podcasts just to kind of hear not just what's happening in North and South Carolina, but I need to know what's going on in Georgia and Florida. So I'm kind of all over the place. But Mortgage News Daily is a good one. It kind of gives a synopsis of what's happening daily, and it gives a synopsis at the end of the week if there was something that you missed. Again, Mortgage News Daily, it's a good one to look at. Someone had a question about investing in tax liens. I think it's a great idea if you're able to get to the courthouse, get a read of what the tax lien is or what have you, and being able to take a bid and purchase that tax lien property. If you have cash to get it done, great. But if you're investing in tax liens and you're looking to finance it, there's 2 ways you can finance it. You can finance it through me as a mortgage or as a conforming way, or you can find a hard money lender. Hard money lenders are folks where they'll just turn around and give you cash immediately, but their turnaround time is basically you got to pay it back within 30 to 45 days, and the interest payments on that is kind of ridiculous. So it kind of depends on what you are needing or what you're looking for at most from that standpoint. But I would say investing in tax lien, the only difference is you never get an idea to get to go in and see what the bones of that house looks like, right? You don't know if there's any structural or any kind of damages there. So once you buy it, it's kind of yours. So that's just a risk that you have. But again, if you have an idea that, hey, it was a good house, maybe it was your neighbor's house and maybe they passed away and the kids didn't pay the taxes, but it's a good neighborhood and it was a good home, then I would say the more information you have about the investment, it's easier for you to make a decision about being able to attain it. Next question was about finances and credit score. Finances. So when you're out here looking at buying a house, I would say that for me, I would say just in my opinion, you need to have at least $20,000 saved up. And why do I say 20,000? Even if you're looking for down payment assistance and or you're looking at possibly 100% financing, I'm always thinking kind of past to go, right? So let's just say hypothetically we got down payment assistance. Let's say hypothetically a unicorn happens and you get 100% financing. Amazing, right? But let's think about it. Maybe you don't need 20,000, but now you need at least 12,000, because what happens, you want to have some reserves to in case life happens. If you were to have lost your job, you want to still be able to make your mortgage payment. If the roof is leaking and you don't have you don't have the right information, what I say, home, you don't have the right home warranty to take care of it, or your HVAC system goes out, or anything happens. When you become a homeowner, all those responsibilities fall to you. When you become an investor, all those responsibilities fall to you, and you got to keep people in their home. You got to stay in your house yourself. So having good credit is key, because if you don't have the cash, then at least you have a credit card that you could possibly operate off of. So it's all different shapes and sizes. I would just say that you definitely want to have good, strong reserves, or you want to have good folks behind you or a good team with you, so that you can ensure that you stay in the home and you're able to do the things you want to do from that standpoint.
We have
thing-
one question in the chat.
Oh, great.
What are
first.
some investor-friendly banks for real estate ventures?
Great
And also
question.
there's a request for your information. So I'm going to share my screen so they can get your personal information.
Perfect. So what are some investor friendly like banks? So when you say investor, I do investments, right? So two types, right? If you're doing an investment loan and you're using your own personal credit, I'm your guy, period, right? If you're using your business, so you're saying you want to do a loan through your business, so you want to use your own business information, then I would Google on places like possibly like your big banks. Those are the places where they'll do some business stuff or business loans. Thinking about and the names. I'm sorry, I was put on the spot with that. It's coming to me. Think about like Washington Mutual for business loans, where you just want to use your business bank statements. Think about what's the other one? It's top of my tongue. I promise I'll get that over to you guys. But I'll send you three. I promise I'll send you three so that you have that. Going back to the chat real fast.
And while you're thinking about that question, one more came in. What are the cons associated with 100% financing, no down payment?
Yeah, the cons is that they put you into this box. The biggest con is that they put you into a box. So down payment assistance, they're going to tell you that your debt to income ratio has to be at a certain percentage. For 100% finance programs, they're going to tell you that your debt to income ratio has to be at a certain percentage. So it's not so much of a con, but it's that you're put into a matrix or put into a box that you have to fit into. So that's the biggest thing that I would say about that. There's nothing wrong with down payment assistance. There's nothing wrong with 100% financing. It just has to fit you and make the most sense. So I wouldn't necessarily say con. I would say the financial responsibility of it putting you into this matrix of it. And then think about it this way as well. If I have 100% financing, that means that when I'm going in, I have zero equity. So I have zero equity. So I'm going to have to work a little bit harder, look a little bit harder to attain equity into my property and things of that sort versus somebody who brings a down payment or has down payment that's attributed to their home.
Okay, you have 1 minute for a final wrap up, and then we're gonna move back into the larger room. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for all of your information.
Thank you. You guys have been great. It's been a pleasure working with you this morning. I am available, and I love to work with you guys. If you have any personal questions or anything that I could possibly answer, please let me know. And thank you for the opportunity. And yes, we are still here. You guys take care.